On this episode, you have to go granular. Hey everybody, welcome to another quarter show here. We're talking about going granular. We were talking with our team recently about it, Davey and a couple of other people, and you know, whenever I'm managing a sales team, whenever I'm managing the work, it's like I always push our team really hard to drill down on cycles. And you know, I'll go through the lineup and I'll be talking to the team and go, and I'll always say, like, where are you at? Where does it stand right now in the sales process? And they'll say something, and I'll say, what's the next step, and what do you have to do? And they'll say, oh, I just have to call them, or I have to do this, or after that, whatever. And I can't not tell you how often it's just like some vague thing that people say, or that it's kind of like, you can't sink your teeth into it. It's like, it's too vague, and it's too sort of like misty and cloudy in terms of content. And, you know, I said, you got to go granular. And granular, when you look at it, it's like getting down to the fine details, the grains, the very grains of the deal, and you sort of break it down to fine details, and that's where deals happen. That's where you can take traction. When you know the step-by-step grains, the details, the fine details of every single thing that needs to take place in order to get it done, you can get traction with that. And you've broken it down to those sort of minute details. And it's the greatest way to really see and sort of map out what it takes to get a deal done. You have to look at the deal and go, okay, well, let me really look at this. Okay, what do I need to do to get this thing done? What actually needs to happen? And people say, oh, I have to phone call. It's like, of course you have to call the person or send the proposal, but what needs to take place? You need to go granular and take the deal and break it down to its most minute detail and break down those sort of micro sub-steps, if you will, and say, like, what actually needs to happen? And when you keep asking those questions, then you find out, okay, well, I've got to go to Tom and get him blah, and then this, and then I've got to do that, and then I've got to do this, and and then you have this little plan of like what you actually need to do to get it done, and you can really see, and then from there you can just execute.
I'm going to tell you why people don't do it.
Yeah.
People don't do it, I think, in large part because they're in the sales cycle itself.
Yep.
In the first call or in the initial action, there was some flub. There was something that happened where they didn't handle a consideration, didn't handle an objection, didn't nail something down, didn't feel like they didn't confront it, didn't get it handled.
Yeah.
And so what you're left with is going on hoping. You're left hoping that they're telling the truth, hoping that they're going to do what you say, hoping that they'll figure it out, hoping that they'll get the budget.
Yeah.
And so you're left with a more vague action. And so when you actually get in there and like start to try to do this very granular approach, you're left with, actually what I need to do is go back and handle the objection I left on the table, or handle the unspoken thing that I didn't flat out ask them. What other concern is there? What haven't we addressed here? You know, because what it comes down to, you know, occasionally you get in these businesses where the sales process, and we talked to a great client, we don't need to mention, it doesn't matter, but oh yes, the sales process is 6 months to a year.
Right.
That's insane. I don't care what product you're selling. I don't care anything about it, because when it comes down to it, there's human beings along the line. Every single human being along the line is capable of looking at data and making a decision on the spot. And so what happens is, like, here's an example. It goes over to legal, and it sits on legal's desk. And I'm not here to badmouth lawyers or legal or anything like that. My mom wanted me to be a lawyer, and I decided not to do it. But she wanted me to be that. So I'm not going to badmouth something my mom said she wanted me to be. But I will say that I suspect that it sits on a stack, unlooked at, and then some sort of weird thing with clocked hours and, like, you know, all sorts of stuff like that occurs. But there's a human being there that could look at your proposal, read plain English, and say, this looks fine, or have them alter this, and you'd have it done in 10 minutes tops.
Absolutely.
Instead of 5 days, 10 business days, etc., and it just carries on. It's crazy.
You know, and if you can't get to that point, if you can't go granular, there, like Ben's getting at, there's a derail on the cycle and you're out of control. You're not running control in the cycle. You've lost control because you don't know how to go granular. You don't know what you needed to go granular. You don't have those steps visualized in your head. when I'm running a tight cycle, I can list out every step that needs to take place. I can absolutely go granular, and I do, and I force every single thing, like every minute detail on a deal, and I can write it down and actually really then go execute those cycles. And if I can't, I didn't ask that question. I didn't get to it. I'm not dealing with the right person. I accepted some vague answer that somebody gave me about some esoteric date in the future or something, right? Like, well, we'll do this or what that, and then I come back and then when I force myself and I say, I have to go granular on this thing, I look at it and go, and I have blank, right? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't do this, by the way, but I've been there. I've done it, and I've experienced, trained many salespeople that get there, and you ask them, well, so what do you need to do? And they're like, well, I just need to call them. It's like, okay, let's say you call them, and you pick up the phone. And then what? I got nothing.
Ask for their credit card, I guess.
I don't know. It's on the proposal. Like, they don't have it.
Yeah.
They don't have it. And if you force yourself to go granular on every cycle, you start dissecting and like sort of little sort of micro actions that need to take place are now delineated. You know what those are. You force yourself to list those things out, and then you just execute. You go get it done, and the chances of getting back in control and getting your deal done dramatically improve. I mean, it's no different than having a map or having a plan or having a whatever. It's like if you don't know the direction, you're probably not going to get there.
Yeah, and the thing is, you're going to run into, you can be one of the best salespeople of all time, and you can still run into all sorts of interesting barriers. But as long as you know what you're running into, you still have a next step, a next thing you can do, a next plan of action. I was on a call with a fellow earlier today. I was helping on a cycle, and he'd given some reason why he wasn't going to start right away, and it wasn't a good reason, and that's fine. But we talked. I talked him through it, and we hashed it all out, and then I said, okay, cool. I'm going to give you a sales pitch now, John. I'm going to give you a sales pitch. Here it is. And I gave him the pitch. I said, here's why we should start now. And I ran flat into, and it was great. And there's literally no reason. What I ran into is he's in confusion. He has a lot of confusion going on, and I'm starting to put in order. I'm making things orderly for him, and I'm putting in more order. And the more order I poured in, the more confusion starts to just go, like blow off, and things start to go even crazier in his universe. And he starts to go, I love you guys, but there's a lot of stress you're putting me under, and there's a lot of pressure that's happening, right? And I said to him, I know, totally understand. And look, we're not gonna jump all over you, but hey, that's our culture, is that we move fast. And I laid it out for him as to why we're talking the way we're talking, that we're here to help.
Yeah.
Right. And that's fine. And look, so he was going, whatever was going on with him was going on with him, and that's okay. But the next play is continue to interest that guy, continue to just lever the reasons on as to why he needs to move forward, continue to put it there that this is, as to why it should happen, and it's absolutely going to happen. So I'm not left with no play. I pushed really hard on the phone call, cordially, professionally,
sure,
but very hard. And there's another play to make. There's more steps. We probably got to cut back a step and then move forward again.
And every step you take further, every step you take moving in the cycle, you have to go granular again for the step that you're at. So if you're at, proposal, or you're at discovery, or you're at proposal, you're at proposal review, or selling and handling, or questions and objections, or logistics, or whatever, there's always a granular step. There's always granular steps. You have to go granular for that step. Like, good, in this step, where am I? What do I have to do? And all the different things are listed out, and now it's like, okay, here are the things that I now need to do, these little actions. And it's not some big, broad, like general, sort of generic, just cloudy thing. It's like there are real granular actions, and you have to get your head around this and really get disciplined about doing this, and really go, well, what do I need to do? Like when we take the word granular, you say, well, okay, like detailed, like very detailed, right? Like the actual sliced up steps. What does that mean? Well, what do I have to do? Like what do I? And if it's some big general thing, you're like, well, I just need to close them. I mean, obviously it's simple, dumb to say, but it's like that's the kind of thing people do. It's just like this huge generality, this huge general thing they do. It's like that's actually not gonna work. Like they're what do you actually need to do? And the more you ask yourself this, the better you're going to get, and the clearer you're going to have on your cycle, and then it becomes clear, and then you're like, well, good, and then you have that first sort of micro action, that micro play to do. You're like, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to hyper focus on this. I'm just going to go do blah. Good, that's done. Check it out of the way. Good, now I'm going to go do this. Good, now I'm going to go do this. And you have those sort of granular steps on each deal for each stage that you're in, and then you continue to go through and just keep going through granular, boom, 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 stage after stage after stage until it's closed, right? And a lot of people are really weak in this area. I've trained a lot of salespeople, and different things like this, and I cannot tell you how weak they are in this one area.
Yeah, but the big reason for the weakness in the area is because largely we're talking about getting towards the closing side of things, and so we're getting towards where you really got to confront things. I mean, it comes down to, because when you're getting granular, there's a proposal over, they should have signed off, and they have not. That's where you really start to have to drill down into it. And when you drill down into that, you're going to have a conversation with the person and find out why. You're almost going to have to ask them directly, is there a reason we haven't signed off yet? Without the tone of voice that I just had, but
Yeah.
Right, but very direct. And then they're going to give you song and dance 90% of the time, and then you have to cut through the song and dance and find out who on the line needs to give an okay. Fred, thank you. Thank you so much for your time. Can't wait till we sign off. Talk to you later. Fred, this is Ben. And then oh, it's over with legal? Who is in legal? Sally, thank you. Sally, this is Ben. And you have to it takes a lot of confront. I mean, to get granular and to do this action, it takes a lot of I'm going to do this.
Yeah, because it's easy. It's really easy to have that broad, just it's happening. It's happening.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen really soon.
I have 20 on my list of 60. I've got 20 of them. Oh, it's happening. Oh,
it's easy to say. Well, it's happening Friday. we're talking Monday.
Oh yeah, 2 weeks from now. I swear to God.
2 weeks from now. It's easy to say that, and you have this broad, vague thing, and this sort of excitement around it's definitely going to happen. But it's it's not actually, unless you go granular, you take responsibility and accountability for the different actions, and you really pull those things off. You really dig in and make those things happen. Then it's really going to happen, and it happens because you make it happen. It doesn't just happen. Things don't just happen. It's happened because you cause them to happen. You earn them to happen. Okay. Hope you enjoy that one. We'll have more coming at you soon here. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. We really appreciate it. Subscribers going up. We like you watching and commenting and liking the video, and feel free to hit us with any ideas. You can email us actually at info@richter10.2.com, or just do a message on Twitter at The Quarter Show or something like that.
Or just ben@richter10.2.com. That's what you should email.
Yeah, Ben.
Yeah, you should do that.
Ben, some real people. Info is actually not somebody over here. So probably better to send it to Ben. All right, thanks for watching.